Hi there, John here again. How you doing? Well, you can't answer, but I'm sure you're doing just fine. Okay, so today, what I'm going to do is we're going to do some listening comprehension. So I'm going to read a story, so you have to listen really carefully, and then afterwards I'll ask you some questions. But just before we do this, and this is a really great, for people who are learning English, this is an excellent way for you to, to train your ears and learn the meaning, infer the meaning, try to understand the meaning without necessarily seeing the words. So it really can help train your ears. And that you can, I think it also helps you to just sort of really think a bit more in English, which is really important. Okay, so, but just before we do that, I just want to give you a little bit of background, just background in terms of the vocabulary. So, we'll start from the top. Butterflies in your stomach. So, a butterfly, I don't know if, so butterfly is like this little like insect. Usually it's got, I'll just draw it. It's a very bad and ugly butterfly, but this is what it looks like. Usually it's very colorful, actually. They're very beautiful, the butterflies, and they kind of like, they fly around like, it's like they're lost and they're going a bit crazy. But that's what butterflies do. But butterflies in your stomach, it's just an expression which just means like really nervous. Because when you're nervous, like maybe you have to give a presentation in class. And you know that feeling in the stomach, like it's like, well, it feels like, imagine if there's like a little butterfly flying around very quickly inside your stomach, how that feels. That's kind of like nervousness. So it just means to be nervous. Okay. Turkish. So this is just an adjective to describe, for people who are from Turkey, the country. So they are Turkish. Okay. To torment. To torment means to cause pain. Cause pain. And you can torment someone by things that you do, and it could be maybe as like a psychological in their head, like a mental pain. You can torment someone that way. Lonesome. Lonesome just means like feeling alone and sad. Severe just means like to have severe pain, for example. It's like very strong. Shunned is when if you're like in a group together or whatever, and one person, people don't want that person in this group, they are shunned. So it means like to socially exclude. Or like reject. Okay, so again, like there's a group, but there's one person maybe you don't want, so you shun them, like push them away. Suspicious. Suspicious just means like the opposite of trust. So distrust. Okay. Let's see. What else? Persecuted. So persecuted means is like to harass very, very strongly. And often when someone is persecuted, it means to like really strongly kind of like reject them, exclude them, harass or bother them. And usually this could be in connection to, could be someone's like ethnicity, maybe where they're from sometimes, or their religion. Usually we talk about people being persecuted simply because of maybe their religion or where they're from. Terrible thing. Okay, hatched. Hatched is just when an animal usually or something is born from an egg. Okay, so it's hatched. And well, can you guess of something that's born from an egg? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Chicken. Wait. Okay, that's a chicken. Well, that's a chick, actually. We call that a baby chicken is a chick, and they're hatched from an egg. Okay, symptom. Symptom is like, well, I think the best way to explain it is just by, well, so for example, if you have a cold, like, so you're sick, so you have a cough, maybe you sneeze, so those are symptoms. So it's just like things that describe something bigger. Really, actually, when you're thinking of symptoms, just really think about the example I gave about a cold. Okay, so your symptoms are like a cough and a sneeze. Okay, matter-of-factly. So some people, if they say something matter-of-factly, they're saying it very straightforward, straight, like without emotion. And a stream, the last one, is just like a small river. Small river. You know, I was giving it some thought, and I really didn't like the first definition of symptoms, so I've written another one here. Sign or indication of something else. Usually it's used to describe an illness. Like, for example, symptoms of a fever might be feeling very hot or and feeling very tired. Those are symptoms of a fever. But also symptom can be used in other contexts, in other situations, but it's usually with illness. Okay, so it's story time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the story. I want you to listen carefully and enjoy, okay? But you got to listen carefully. And I also need to put on my reading glasses. Okay. Incidentally, this story was taken from the Daily Star, June 28th, 1979. All right. The story. Next time you have that feeling of butterflies in your stomach, think about this story. Yeter Yildirim, a 15-year-old Turkish girl, had suffered from stomach pains for over 5 years. They were a constant torment. to the girl. She had gone from a happy girl with lots of friends to a lonesome girl who suffered severe headaches and stomach pain. Her family was shunned by suspicious villagers in their little farming community. Eventually, Yetter's family moved 80 miles away because they were being persecuted by the town. As her symptoms worsened, her family finally took her to a hospital. The doctor x-rayed her and went to talk to her parents. He matter-of-factly stated that there would be no problem removing the snakes from the young girl's stomach. What snakes? Asked her shocked parents. The x-rays showed 3 living snakes inside the girl's stomach. They were water snakes that she had apparently swallowed as eggs while drinking from a stream. They hatched and lived there for 5 years before being discovered as the cause of the sickness. They were slightly thicker than a piece of string. I don't have any string with me, but not very thick at all. And about a foot long, which is about this, maybe this, like from here to here, about a foot long. Ooh, inside your stomach. But the great news is, after the snakes were removed, she felt great. Okay, what a strange and crazy story, huh? Has that ever happened to you? Well, you can tell me later. Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to give you some questions to make sure that you are listening carefully. Okay, so some questions. How old was she? That's right, 15. Okay, that was an easy one. What country was she from? That's right, Turkey. You guys are good. Okay, I'm going to have to get, they're going to get a little harder. Okay, how did the doctor discover her problem? That's right, because of the x-ray. He took an x-ray. It's like you know what an x-ray is, right? Photograph to see inside. Okay, the last one. This one's probably the most difficult. How did she get the snakes in her stomach? How did they get into her stomach? I'll give you a little bit more time on this one. That's right. So she took a drink of water from the stream, and in the stream there were some eggs, and the snake eggs. She swallowed that, and the eggs hatched inside, and voila, the snakes. Okay, so for a few more questions, if you're interested in a few more comprehension questions, what I want you to do is go to engvid.com. That's engvid.com for many more fantastic videos about English.